You the reset and happy weekend. We'll just get right into it so you can have as much time for movement, philosophy, and meditation as possible. And Amber, we don't need a chair today, so feel free to move that out of the way. And you guys, I am going to practice mirroring, so both of you will face the same direction. So let's all turn to our rights. Well, can you make sure it's not mirroring, Satyam? Okay. And make your way onto your mat. Move any props off to the side. We are going to be doing some stuff on the knees to begin with. So if you've got sensitive joints, feel free to grab a blanket now, fold it up, and you can just kneel right on your cozy blanket. And then take a moment to paw out the mat in tabletop and just make some gentle hip circles, saying hello to the joints of the wrists. And noticing the shoulders floating over that, the pelvis moving through space. Hopefully a gentle massage in the knees. If the knees are ever uncomfortable, you can tuck the toes and kick into the toes to unweight the knees a little bit. You can also just do that to stretch your toes. And then let's sink the hips back. So flatten the feet, melt the hips, and reach the arms forward. If it's comfortable, the forehead can melt towards the mat, or you can stack the hands, making a little pillow, and just let the back of the body start to open. And if it doesn't feel very open, try pushing into one knee at a time, letting the hips sway, and just imagine any tension in the low back softening and releasing. And then if they're not already, flatten the feet under. Notice how the hips might sink back just a little, and then start to push down into the shins so the pelvis becomes light, and roll up one vertebra at a time. Notice the sense of support through the front of the spine, helping you articulate this one vertebra action. Nice job, everybody, moving slow as honey. Circle the arms up and overhead. Let the heart open. Let the shoulders stay soft so there's no tension in the shoulders as you do this. And then as the hands come forward, hinge at the hips and place the hands back down to where you came. Allow the left hand to start to draw back, following the momentum of where you just were. Big backward circle. And then as the hand comes down, push back to Bhaktasana, and we'll repeat that on the other side. So press down into tops of feet and knees to slowly roll up. Take your time, enjoy the ride. Try to feel support through the whole spine so there's no overstretching in the upper thoracic and the back of the neck. And then the arms follow that momentum, circling back and up. As soon as they get up, you can hinge the hips, reach the hands down, and now circle the right hand back, up, and forward. We'll do that one more time each side. So press to any amount, sending the hips back, and then slow roll up. The arms back circle, which might feel unique. They go down, back, and up. Then as they come forward, the hips hinge. You can just land in that effortless tabletop. And now the left arm will continue with that momentum, circling back, up, and forward. Last one, last side. Try to feel the continuity of the movements, each one feeding into the next. Give yourself permission to add, subtract, and just be in the flow, even if it's different than how I guided it. And the next time you land in table and take that arm circle, you can just pause for a moment, paw the hands forward, tuck the toes, and just hover the knees. And then let them release. And do this a couple of times and notice the strength waking up in the legs. And try to do less, especially if you feel like you are exerting a lot to lift the knees. See if your body can intelligently do less to hover the knees. And the next time the knees come down, slowly roll up to kneeling. Shift the weight into the left foot. And because we are still going to be on the knees a little bit more, feel free to even cushion it, like do another fold. Make sure your knees are happy. Shift your weight into the left, arms to T for balance, and hover the right leg. And notice how the body might sway and tilt to find balance. Imagine you're in a lunge, but the front leg is hovering. So slide the leg forward a little bit if that's possible. And you can always touch the right toe down to help you rebalance. And just drop your attention into the left hip socket and notice all those little muscles firing. And then place the sole of the right foot down in a short 90-90 lunge. You guys look great. Release the hands inside of the foot and let the back knee slowly unfurl. And as the back knee lengthens, allow the head to lengthen forward so you can just sense the line from the left heel all the way up through the crown of the head. And then lower the knee. Send the hips back. Similar movement to what you did with two knees underneath you. Drop the pelvis and roll up one vertebra at a time. Draw your big arm circle and just pause for a moment in lunge. Anjane Asana, nice and short so that hip is really stable, and breathe into the front of the hip. Keep the weight in the right heel. Inch the foot forward just a little bit, and without shifting the weight forward, bend the knee. And notice the work that it takes to anchor the heel so there's no pressure in the knee. Kick into the leg, and we'll add the arms in. So the next time the right knee bends, let the arms swing down. Right. And then kick into the right heel, slowly rise back up into that weightless Anjane Asana. Take a couple of pulses here. If you want to sync it with the breath, I invite you to play with inhaling forward and exhaling to slowly come up so you have more support in the core as you come into the back bend. No breath is wrong, so feel free to sync it up with your breath a different way. And we'll add on to this. So hinge forward, slowly roll up just like you did. Look at your right hand. Allow the momentum of the right hand to circle up, back, and down, very similarly to what we did before. As the arm circle continues, we'll start the sequence again. So it starts with the hinge, the arm swing, weight stays in the front heel. Maybe you can feel that right glute engage. And then kick into the right heel, slow roll up into Anjane Asana. And then the right arm takes that momentum and circles into the front leg. One more on your own, starting with the hip hinge. Move nice and slow so you can feel support in all of the joints, but see if you can continue to feel the momentum carrying you from one movement to the next. We'll all eventually meet in Anjane Asana. Beautiful. Release the hands down inside of the right foot, kick into the right heel, and sway the hips from side to side, letting your right heel get a little massage. And so the hips are initiating the movement, but just let the heel follow. You don't really have to think about doing anything with the heel, but feel the little massage that the heel gets. Shift the weight into the right foot, walk the left hand wide, and slowly drag the left knee forward until you can put your left hip down. Nice. Start to twist to the right for modified Urdhva Matsyendrasana, and breathe through the left side of the body, letting it lift and lengthen. And then turn to the left, facing the short edge of the mat. Slide the left foot forward so the ankles are crossed with the right leg in front. Plant the left hand behind you. Inch the feet in a little bit, and before we pivot to table, just take a moment to push down into the left arm, making sure it feels ready to support you. Lift the right hand, and then slowly slide the knees to the left. Drop the right hand, and ta-da! You're in tabletop. Yes! Awesome. So now we'll do that same thing on the second side. Let's take one pause, flattening the tops of the feet, reaching the hips back, or any comfortable resting pose. Maybe cat pose is more comfortable for you. And slowly push down into the shins, rolling up one vertebra at a time. Shift the weight. Oh, feel free to move your blanket if it's no longer underneath your knees. And then shift the weight into the right knee, arms to T. Hover the left leg. And if you're not quivering and shaking and losing your balance, try to make it harder for yourself because those quivering movements are really beneficial. And so you can lean, extend the left leg, move around, move your gaze, whatever it takes to find that destabilization that forces the body to restabilize. And then place the sole of the left foot down and slightly to the right. So you're in that 90-90 lunge, but the left foot is generously over to the left. So you've got lots of space. Push down into left heel and just play with bending generously into the left knee. Keep all your weight in the heel and notice how the knee can come past the ankle without any strain if you anchor the heel. If that doesn't feel good, then keep the knee over the ankle. Take a couple of bounces there. And we'll begin our sequence with Anjaneyasana. So scoop the air up, let the whole front of the body open. Notice the connection between the right knee pushing down and the whole front of the body lengthening with control. And then the arms swing, bend that front knee, kick into the left heel, come back into Anjaney. And arms swing, knee bends. Start to pulse through those two movements at your own pace. If you enjoyed syncing the breath, the way that I cued it was inhaling to float down so you're nice and buoyant, and then exhaling to float up so you're nice and strong. So it might be a little different than you're used to. And then we'll add in the arm circle. So the next time you float up, the left arm carries the momentum up, back, all the way down. And then we repeat from the hip hinge. Hip hinge, Anjaney, arm circle. Moving at your own pace and enjoy your quality of movement. There is no magic that happens after you do this. It's all in your presence right now. Just feeling the support of your body, how effortless your movements can be, allowing your nervous system to relax and release and support you from the inside. The next time you're in Anjaneyasana, melt the hands down, walk the left foot over to the left any amount, kick into the left heel, letting the left leg lengthen, and gently wag your tail. Make sure there's no tension in the low back. So if it feels like too much, try bending the front knee a little bit, lengthen the head forward, and don't worry about kicking the hips back quite so intensely. Start to notice the massage on the left heel and see if you can relax the left foot. Plant the right hand nice and wide. It might even be off your mat. Bend into the right knee, anchoring right heel. Slide the left knee forward until you can set the left hip down and start to twist away from me. Twist into the bent knee. Twist to the left for modified Urdhva Matsyendrasana with the knees spacious. Breathe from the bottom of the spine all the way up. And then untwist slightly, slide the left leg forward, crossing the ankles, and so the left ankle is going to be on top. Plant the right hand. Take a couple of bounces before you weight the hand just to get the shoulder and the wrist ready. Lift the left hand, and then hover the hips and drop the knees to the right as the left hand comes down. Magic trick. table. Amazing. Good job. You got it. Walk the hands forward one, handprint. Hover the knees and bend them really deeply, almost as if you were coming into a bhaktasana. So the hips reach towards the heels. Push into the hands, lengthening through each vertebra. Send the sits bones high. Tune in with your breath. And as you exhale, just melt through the backs of the legs. Don't worry about the heels touching the earth, but allow the legs to soften. Imagine they're becoming semi-solid or like Laffy Taffy, just gently stretching. Start to sway the hips from side to side. And as the hips sway to the left, allow the right hand to drag closer to the feet, and then sway the hips to the right, and the same thing happens, so you can elephant walk your way to your feet. Bend your knees really deeply so there's no tension in the back line of the body. Stay as soft as possible. And if this isn't comfortable, we're just meeting in Uttanasana, so find your way there as supportive as you can. Once you're in Uttanasana, bend the knees even deeper and let the sits bones get heavy so that the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, drops slightly towards the heels. Let the head hang heavy, sway the hips, shake out the head, anything that allows tension to melt off the spine. And maybe stillness would be soothing, so let that be an option too. And then use the hands to climb up the legs. Bonus, you get a little massage, so feel free to milk that and squeeze a little extra any area that feels tender. Be conscious of the low back, the back of the heart, and the back of the neck, and just make sure everything feels supportive as you roll up. And once you arrive, pause. March out the feet underneath the hips, finding the most supportive Tadasana. Allow the shoulders to relax. Let the arms hang naturally at the sides. Let the pelvis be nice and heavy so the sits bones effortlessly drop and the front of the hips can be spacious. Go for a little walk, not just on your mat, but around your space. And don't worry, you guys can walk in front of the camera. It's fun. It makes it dynamic. And notice the sensations in your feet, in your hips. Try to connect to your breath as you move about through space. And then walk back to the mat and walk down it like a runway. So you're at the opposite end of the mat, but still facing towards the right side. All right, we got a yoga photobomb in the house. Bring your hands to your hip creases and shift the weight towards the heels. The base of the big toe stays anchored. The big toe itself is anchored, but as the weight rocks into the heels, notice any sense of musculature coming online in the calves, in the glutes, in the muscles along the spine and the back of the neck. And then drop the hands and slowly start to crease at the hips, sending them back as the arms scoop up. We'll take a couple of chair pulses. Exhale into your chair and inhale, float up effortlessly, letting everything evenly engage so nothing overexerts. Keep the weight in the heels just like we've been practicing in the lunge. And the next time you come into your chair, shift the weight into the right foot and slowly glide the left foot back and slightly wide, keeping the hips forward for Virabhadrasana 1. Beautiful. It's like you're all yoga teachers. Straighten the front leg, and we'll go and drop the arms. We'll go through a very similar sequence as to what we did kneeling, and the most important thing here is to keep the weight in that front heel because the knee is going to bend really generously, and I want to make sure that you feel really supported. So bend that front knee, let the arms swing, allow the body to tilt forward, and then kick into the right heel. Keep the knee bent, but slowly roll up into Virabhadrasana 1. And we'll just play with those 2 tilting actions, tipping forward and then floating up to Virabhadrasana 1, just like we did before. The next time you come up, let the right arm circle up and back for a twisted warrior. And then as the arm circles down and forward, you have the option. You can hinge just like you did before. If that front leg is feeling really supportive, feel free to take a baby Vira 3, and then the sequence continues. The foot drops, we circle through Vira 1, and then the right arm takes over, circling up and back. As the right arm comes forward, you tilt. Back foot can stay down or you can hover it, and then drop the front foot. Fill up into your Vira 1. Just one last time. The right arm reaches up and back, taking you into a twist. And the next time the arm comes up, reach the arm up, pause in Vira 1, inch the foot over to the right so you have just a little more space in the pelvis. You can even inch the foot forward and see if you've got more space to bend into the knee in a really soft, supportive way. Breathe into the hips. And then start to melt over the front leg. Hands can be on the hips or they can start to slide down the leg, and keep everything supportive, walking your way down. Bend that front knee as much as you need to, and start to walk the feet over, or walk the hands over to the left, turning on the toes. And then step back into plank. Bend the knees, press the hips up. Make any adjustments you might have to walk forward to have enough real estate, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. And then go into those hip sways. So as the hips sway, notice how the hands start to unweight, and you can walk one hand in at a time. Keep the knees really deeply bent. The belly might even rest on the thighs. Send the weight back into the heels. Head hangs heavy. Pelvis drops towards the heels. Do it a little more dramatically than you think I'm cueing because something really beneficial happens when the hamstrings turn on here. Push into the heels. Let the low back puff up and then slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. The hands can walk up the thighs like they did before, or they can float if you want a little more work in the core. As long as it feels supportive, take your time. Nice job, Ria. Rolling up slowly with support. Pause at the top. And we'll go for a shorter walk this time. So we'll just walk to the end of our mat. And we'll meet in Tadasana at the other end of the mat. And we'll close out by doing that same sequence on the other side. So hands either at the hips if that feedback helps you, or release the hands down. Shift the weight into the heels, crease at the hips, scoop the air up or keep the hands on the hips. Shift the weight into the left foot, slide the right foot back, keeping the hips forward. So it might be a short stance, that's fine. Inch the left foot over to the left if your hips need some more space, and then straighten the front leg, relax the arms for just a moment. Anchor the left heel as we've been practicing, and we'll start with Vira 1 and we'll go into that hip hinge action. So bend the front knee, feel the support through the left heel, scoop the air up, letting the whole front of the body open. Feel free to take a natural breath here. And on your next exhale, let the arms swing. Bend a little more into the left knee, shifting the weight forward, but keeping it in the heel so there's no pressure in the front of the knee. And then push into the heel and bounce back up. The front leg can stay bent in Vira 1 or can straighten if that feels good. Take a few pulses on your own, and if this feels really supportive, you can use a little more momentum, tipping in and out, letting arms swing, just as long as that doesn't take you beyond your zone of stability. The next time the hands float up, left arm will circle up and back, so you rotate into the front leg. And then the sequence continues by bending the knee, Vira 1, tip forward, option to unweight the back leg any amount, and then you float from Vira 1 into the twist, And the twist returns you to a short Vira 1, and then you can hip hinge forward. Do 1 or 2 on your own, moving at your own pace, enjoying movement for the sake of movement. Try to feel connections being made into the body. So it's just one body moving through space. And we'll all meet in Vira 1, but feel free to pause in any movement that was particularly exciting to you or soothing, whatever you're needing in this moment. And then hands on the hips, or they can slide down the leg. Bend the front knee generously so this isn't too intense on the hamstring, and start to melt over the front leg with a lot of support. Walk the hands down the leg, lengthen from the back of the right heel all the way up the calf, all the way up the back hamstring, the muscles along the spine, lengthen the back of the neck. And then place the hands down, step back to your plank. You're welcome to hold plank if it feels supportive and beneficial. You're also welcome to come into knees down or a resting pose. One more breath. Flatten the tops of the feet. Melt the hips back to Bhaktasana. Support the forehead either on the floor or with fists or hands. Just take a couple of breaths. Observe your breath flow. If you're holding tension anywhere in the body, see if the breath can help you soften and release. And then slowly roll up, just like we did so many times. This time let the pelvis stay heavy so you're seated on your heels. Close the eyes and notice the awareness flooding the body. Notice your ability to be supported physically, but also energetically. And we'll take this into our philosophy and meditation. Thank you for practicing. Do you want us to look at you or look at the screen? All right.
Okay, is this better? Thanks. Better to know than to speak to no one. Okay, so over here on my side, we've got a picture of a Torii. It's the gate that you pass through to go to the temple at Shoshoni or at other sacred places. It's a traditional Japanese concept. The temple at Shoshoni is modeled after a 16th century Japanese temple. And it marks the transition from the mundane to the sacred. That's the Torii, what it represents. And I think anybody who's walked through that gate at Shoshoni has felt that celestial transition that occurs as you pass under it. We walk through a lot of gates and thresholds and doors in our day. They might not look sacred, but with a little bit of awareness, we can actually really start to use them to grow spiritually. Because when we walk through a door, we're often filled with the energy of the upcoming attraction. We're always walking through a door towards an object of our awareness, something that we're sort of reaching for. Or we're walking away from something that will, by being away from that, that'll also make us happy, as we think. And so it's always what's on the other side of this threshold, right? And we go through this all day long, finding little bits of satisfaction, nothing truly satisfying, right? When we sit to meditate, we actually practice opening the door to our heart without directing our awareness to any particular object, which allows us to stay in that threshold and open it a little wider and a little wider in a natural way until the joy that we normally associate with the object or the experience comes to us. As the Shiva Sutras teach, and the sutra we've been working with for the last few weeks, quote, "Karma can only be overcome if it is enjoyed. It cannot be cast aside or abandoned." So this means that when it comes to the karma of our daily life, we don't overcome it by analyzing it, fighting it, or becoming it. We overcome it by doing this inner work that keeps us above it, or you might even say helps us maintain that connection to this joy in ourselves while we move through it. And for fun, you really can practice this every time you walk through a door. Whether it's a kitchen door, a car door, an office door, you name it. Every time you go through a door, there's this sacred energy that is propelling you in that moment. And if you're able to just slow down a little, to breathe a little deeper as you walk through, or to slow down your gait, or if you're lucky, to pause in the doorway and actually hold it open for someone behind you and give them a smile. If you can do that, you'll actually be glimpsing the sacred experience that you're seeking, and you'll get a little glimpse of it in that moment, because it's always with us. The sacred experience we're seeking is right inside our hearts constantly, and it's just up to us to redirect our awareness little bits at a time, or bigger bits, through our meditation practice every day. So let's do that together now. So everybody looks like they're in a comfortable seat. Allow the eyes to close and steady the breath flow. It's okay if the body needs to move or adjust, but as you feel capable, allow it to settle or relax towards stillness more and more. Let the forehead soften, and practice the slight smile just for you. As we always say, the slight smile sort of cracks open the door to the heart. And then the breath, in a very natural way, not forced, the breath can gently nudge that door to the heart open another inch. You can feel the breath and the heart interacting if you allow your awareness to simply reside a little bit lower than the head. You can feel the gentle breath. It's like a really gentle wind that just sort of nudges this door open because it's not latched. It nudges this door open a little bit at a time. We're in no hurry because it doesn't matter how much the door opens. It only matters that we're focusing on this threshold, that we're here at all. If you'd like, you can bring the mantra hum to the inhale, sa to the exhale. This is the silent mantra of the breath. It means I am that. I am that sacred energy already. And the way you feel it is through the breath, the heart, and the mantra. Focus on the actual experience of opening. Don't worry about how much, how far. Just try to be there and feel this door to the heart open a little bit. Just feel it occur. Imagine this threshold, this space of the heart, growing naturally, expanding naturally, just with your presence, just by being there, it expands. As we pull our awareness out of the objects, the thoughts and the senses, that energy begins to accumulate in your heart, in your being by simply holding your awareness in the heart, feeling the interaction of the breath and the mantra. This threshold expands. So take this last moment to notice this space of the heart, this space that we actually cultivate by slowing down and by redirecting our awareness. And so as we move through whatever threshold will take you to your next attraction, use that passing moment to find this space inside again, remembering and reminding ourselves that the thing we're actually seeking is already inside of us, and it's just a matter of redirecting as we can throughout our day and on our cushion, our awareness to this sacred space inside. So namaste, thank you for practicing with us today. As always, have a great weekend, and hope you had a great week. So, see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for coming. What's your name? Genevieve?
Oh.
Wow, I'm so happy to see you, Genevieve.
How old are you?
I'm 3.
Nice.
You're so big.
And
She's a superhero.
she's a super girl.
You are. And you've got a super mom, too.
She gave me 3 whole minutes at the end of silence. That's like a carnival cruise around here.
Wow.
Good job, Genevieve.
Way to go, Genevieve.
3
Yay.
minutes for each year she is.
A minute per year.
Okay, say night-night. We're gonna go to bed.
Night night.
Good night. Bye, Rosanna.
See you, Roseanne.